Hi again guys, I'm back with another unboxing from my latest order from Z-Cube. So I've got a few cube bags and a whole load of stickers, which means I've got a lot of stickering to do. And this puzzle, which is, can you tell from the box? Well, actually you can see there because it's got a mark on the Starminx side to show you it's a Starminx. So yeah, that's what this is. This is Starminx II. The face turning version, once again not stickered. And there's a tiny little square cube sticker on the bag. No idea why. If you can open the bag, I'll show you it. Now I have already got one of these puzzles, but it unfortunately arrived with some damage, so it never really was playable with, so I never actually figured out how to solve it. It was usable, but it would fall apart. Nah, that's a bit extreme. A centerpiece would pop out and on a regular basis, and pretty much every turn, and then there was a kind of core piece under that centerpiece that would also fall out because that's what was broken. It was just too much hassle trying to be able to play with it because it was happening all the time. I tried gluing things together and stuff, and it really didn't really help. So this is actually version 2 of the Starminx. mf8 brought out this version not too long ago. After the original version that was sold out everywhere, it turned out I think I bought the last one in the world, because after I bought my ice purple version I just couldn't find them anywhere. But yeah, these turn, I don't know how well you're seeing this with the black. I'll obviously show you more once I've got it stickered. Yeah, they're face turning, but they're very deep cut, so each turn moves a lot of pieces of the puzzle. This turns okay. It seems to turn a bit better than that ice purple version I had, and it's actually, you can feel that there's some breaking in taking place immediately as well. It's not the best turning puzzle you will ever find, that's for sure. However, given the complexity of the mechanism and the number of pieces that each turn takes along with it, I mean, you're not just taking a face, you're taking, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces from every one of these 5 faces around the puzzle as well with you, with every turn you do. And that's what makes this puzzle quite difficult as well, because every turn you do disturbs a lot of stuff. As I said, I never figured out how to solve the other one, but I didn't play with it too long because it was too frustrating. But let me go away and get this stickered, and I'll show you in a bit more detail once I've done that. So the Starminx is now stickered, standard mf8 colour scheme, as you can see. Looks really nice. I'm not going to scramble this just yet. I want to see if I can figure out a few move sequences from the solve state if I can, because this one's going to be a tough one. I've been having a little play around before recording this part of the video, but I don't want to go any further because a couple of times I've come very close to an accidental scramble while playing around, and I wanted to show you in its solve state first. But yeah, it's difficult to find. I'm looking for, see if I can figure out any commutators to do any 3 cycles on the pieces at the moment, so I want to see if I can figure that out before I start scrambling it, if at all possible, because yeah, this one's going to be tough. So yeah, once as I expect I'm going to do, I do an accidental scramble on it, I'll come back and complete the scramble, and then I'll go from there. But the turning quality, I've done a bit of breaking in, and it's definitely turning a bit better than it was straight out of the box, but it's still not fantastic. But I think that's basically just going to be the way of this puzzle, the way it's manufactured. It's not awful or anything like that, but you do get some catches that you might have just seen just there from time to time, but there's less than there was before, so obviously it's worn some of the flashing away. So I've been doing a fair bit of breaking in on it as well to try and improve it. I haven't lubed it at all yet, but I'm not convinced that will actually help. I mean, I will give it a try, but it's more the slight catching issue rather than anything else. It's not terrible, it doesn't lock up awfully all the time or anything like that, but you've got lots of sharp points that meet, so that's sort of to be expected to some extent. Any puzzle where you get lots of sharp points meeting in the same place at a turning point, at a cut point should I say, you do tend to get these little catches. It's quite normal on puzzles that do that, so it doesn't come as a big surprise. But yeah, I'll go away and work on this for a bit, and I'll come back with a few more thoughts in a little while. Okay, and so as you can see, as expected, I've done an accidental scramble on the puzzle. However, I have kind of had a bit of a play around, and I've got an idea of a starting point at least of how to go about solving this. So we'll see where that leads me to. So it's time to get it scrambled up and have a crack at solving this thing. I understand this is a rather difficult puzzle, as I said before anyway, so I don't know how far I'll manage to get by myself without any assistance whatsoever, but we'll see. Obviously it'd been nice if I could solve it without help, but as I've mentioned before on my channel, I'm not absolutely against getting a little help if I'm really struggling with a puzzle, but I don't really want to go down that road just yet, obviously. Doesn't take much to scramble this quite well, actually. Simply because you're moving so many pieces with each turn, I presume. Yeah, I think we're about there already. So I will go away and have a play around. That might be some time. But I will see how we get on. Alright then guys, I'll come back with some more thoughts once I've solved it or otherwise, and let you know what I'm thinking of the puzzle so far. Alright then, so the Starminx is solved again. This one was pretty tough. I managed to solve the edges and centres without too much difficulty. But the star points I really struggled with. I couldn't find a way to recycle them at all. The best I could manage, trying to figure out an algorithm for myself, was something like a 6 cycle, which just isn't really usable. So I had a look online, and to be honest, the only algorithm I could find was one that somebody had come up with using a computer, which cycles 3 of these star points, which was fine. But even once you know the algorithm, it's still not an easy puzzle to solve, because it requires quite a few setup moves to get the 3 points that you require in the correct place. So you've got to remember all your setup moves and everything. So it's still a fun solve, even knowing the algorithm. So I solved this one a couple of times actually, and I did enjoy the solving process. I found it quite fun. As I said, I managed to do the edges and centres without too much problem, but the star points, they're definitely very challenging. Turning wise, it's broken in quite well. It turns okay. It's still quite catchy at times, to be honest, which is a bit annoying if you're in the middle of an algorithm and get a lock-up sort of thing. You forget where you are, and it's very easy to lose yourself. I did actually mess it up a couple of times as well, because the problem is when you try and do the algorithm that does the 3 cycle on these star points, you've got no kind of reference point. Here's what I mean by that. Normally I'd do something like, say, keep the white face on top. But the problem is, as soon as you do, say, an R turn, which is the first part of the algorithm, you haven't got the white face on top anymore. You've got the green face on top, because the centres aren't actually centres. And so it can take a while to get used to the kind of the pattern, to start recognising the pattern of pieces that you see at certain points in the algorithm, so you know that you're in the right place and you're turning the right faces, sort of thing. So to begin with, I did mess it up a couple of times as well, so I ended up having to resolve a few times before I actually finally managed to do it. But overall, it's very fun. Just to kind of live with the catchiness of it. It's a fact of life of this puzzle, unfortunately. However, having said that, I did also solve my ice purple one once I got the solving process down. The turning quality in this version 2 compared to the version 1 is vastly better. It really is. This one is pretty awful actually, but now that I can solve it, I wanted to get it into its solved state for my shelves. But this one, it has a couple of broken pieces, so centres pop all the time anyway. But the black one is the version 2, which is much better turning quality. There's no two ways about it, but it's still not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. However, given the complexity level of the puzzle, I don't think it's too bad. It's just a little bit of care and attention needed to get things lined up correctly, that's all really. And the biggest surprise, the mf8 logo hasn't worn away. I have no idea why not, but makes a nice change. Both of them are still completely intact. Don't know what they've done differently on these ones, but I wish they'd do it on all of them, because I really don't like the way they wear away when you're playing with the puzzle. But yeah, overall, very difficult puzzle. Training quality is acceptable, but don't expect it to be really good. But don't expect this to be an easy solve either. This is a tough one. Getting up there to being one of the most difficult, I think. But a very high fun level sort of thing. I did enjoy the solve, even though I had to get some help to figure out how to solve it. Once I got the algorithm, it became relatively straightforward. I knew what I needed to do, but it wasn't always obvious how to do it, if that makes sense. So it was still a challenge, even having the algorithm in mind. So, you know, knowing the way to do it doesn't necessarily make it easy to do. Alright then guys, I think that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care now. Bye.